Yeah, yeah. What they saying? I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine.
Welcome to episode 5. Today we're going to talk about why real estate investors fail.
It's going to be a good one, fellas, ladies.
So I always go down that YouTube rabbit hole. You know, I speak about that a lot. Is that and social media, and it seems like no matter what these people do, they always win. You know, they never fail. You know, the Lamborghini
is never failing in real estate. Don't worry about it.
I mean, nothing could ever go wrong.
Nothing goes wrong.
You know,
Follow this channel. You will never lose.
You'll never
become a millionaire in 5 days.
That's it.
With me, and I will show you the way.
Just hit the link below. You know, so I mean, and
no, really, hit the link below.
Well, definitely hit the subscribe button here. Hit the like
if you
button.
want to. I mean, you know.
but that's what I see. You know, and I always use that reference of YouTube and social media because when I first started, that was my schooling. You know, YouTube University. You know, and I'm being real. But when you see that, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors there too. You know, it's not, and we say this a lot here, guys, right? It's not always peaches and cream. It's not what you think it is. And there are real estate investors that fail. And we want to speak about how they fail, you know, because I can tell you they fail, but let's get in depth on how they fail and, you know, what they could have done better, maybe to avoid failure, you know. But either way, I do want to speak about that so that way we can let the people know that this isn't bulletproof. You know, there's still work that needs to be done, you know, especially if you're in the mud, you know, trying to come up, you know, with minimal funds, you know, or trying to be creative as well to get your real estate. So I definitely want to speak on that. DT, I want to start with you, if that's okay, and tell me a way or a couple of ways how real estate investors fail in real estate.
First of all, when you say fail, do you mean fail and then get out of real estate and just don't come back, or fail completely, or just like fail at, you know, one task and then have to reboot and try to do it all over again? What do you mean by that? Fail in what way? Right.
And then great question. So if someone fails and reboots again, I wouldn't call it a failure myself, you know, because you're rebooting, you're taking another shot at it.
Okay.
But I mean, people that are, you know, just sometimes
buy the first
passive,
house and
you know,
they fold. Buy the first house and then fold.
Some people that buy the first house and fold, or the first flip, and,
first deal, first package,
first deal, you know, stuff like that. So if we can get more in depth with that.
So I would say, yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. What I would say, there's many reasons why people fail, right? You don't put in the work, you're gonna fail 100% of the time. I say this a lot, and it's something that's real simple, but I live by it. You're gonna miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So the first way you fail is by not trying, right? So if you don't make that attempt, if you don't try, that's the first way you fail. Biggest way you fail. Probably one of the biggest reasons why, you know, investors, you know, mental investors, you know, YouTube University investors, why they fail, because they just don't try. That would be number one. Number two, for the person that does make that attempt, or the people that make that attempt or try, I would say my opinion would be the team. They don't have the right team.
You ain't worth nothing.
You know what I mean? So, if you don't have the right team, and you don't, number three would be you don't do the proper research, right? You don't do your proper research.
Huge.
You know, you kind of just jump into something. Sometimes people get involved with real estate thinking, hey, I got money. I could just throw money on top of money on top of money, fix a problem, make it work. It doesn't work like that. You know, if at the end of the day, if you have unlimited amount of funds or a limited amount of funds. A loss is a loss is a loss. There's no coming back from a loss, right? So those would be my I think I mentioned 3, right? So one would be not trying, right? Not making that attempt. That would be the first biggest reason why you fail. The second one would be the team, or not the lack of a team, and then the lack of research. Those would be the 3 biggest reasons why I would say realtors fail in real estate. What about you, G?
Investors fail. Yeah, and that's know your market. It was basically the last one you were saying. Do research on your market. But with that being said, just Jerry, what would be ways that even if you want to add on and piggyback on that, that's fine. We can go in depth. How real estate investors fail in real estate.
He said the team, and I agree with the team. I also, you have to know what you're jumping into maintenance wise. Jumping in, not knowing if you have to pay for a roof, if you don't know, if you miss a roof, you miss a boiler, you miss a furnace, and then you put all your money in thinking that's it, and 2 days later the contractor tells you you got to spend $15,000 on a roof.
Hey, oh, by the way,
you're correct. And I'll tell you
this already. Yeah, I bought it. It's great, isn't it? Yeah. You need a roof. So wait, hold on, sir. You're saying that after I purchased this, I'm finding out. I mean, you got to do your due diligence for sure.
Right.
Hey, do you remember when I mentioned to you that there's always what ifs?
Correct, and that's a big thing, because what ifs could really hurt your pockets. Yeah. So I would add on his maintenance, because he kind of hit the big things. You believe in these guys, the
spreadsheets that you get on the properties,
that they know what they're doing. So, and then after you get that, you're like, okay, I'm good, and then realize they missed something.
Yeah, it kind of falls back on that team.
Inspection is what you're speaking of.
Inspection,
home inspection. Yeah.
So it's the inspection, like speaking of, and listen, you can have an inspector go in there, you can miss stuff. In my primary home, they miss stuff. And I go, and my wife and I, we sit back, after being in the house for a little while, go, how did he miss this? I mean, how? And then you start wondering, like, did the realtor know the inspector? Because you start doing that, then, because I don't understand how he could miss it. But, there's a human element to it. Right. So you got to understand that things get missed, and you're going to be the one to foot the bill when it's all said and done, when it does get caught.
I'll give you a prime example. We bought a property, and the inspector missed mold.
The inspector missed mold, you said?
Yeah, we missed mold, and then the mold cost me $32,000 just to fix. Or the whole basement was gone.
Whew. So that can cripple somebody. So that's
if you only have $32,000, that house is gone for you.
Not only can that cripple somebody, that can make you lose a deal, because if you find out after you're doing like a finance deal, your mortgage can completely back out on that deal, because they're not going to finance a property that's
no, this is after we purchased it.
And if you bought it all cash,
after we purchased it, we go.
Exactly.
It's over for you. I mean, if you don't have those kind of reserves,
you got two choices: you sell as is, or you pay $32,000.
Right. Absolutely. And then you take a loss. Either way, you take a loss on some end. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully, one way you take a lighter loss than the other. But
if you hold on to it long enough, you'll get it back. That's the beauty of real estate.
Yeah, I mean, but then you got to
see, long time, bro.
How long are you willing to hold on
that's
to
1,000% truth. But
that's what we mean. It gets deep. Yeah. So it can really get deep. I don't hear a lot. I mean, and I love a lot of these podcasts and whatnot. Don't get me wrong, but I don't see people really get deep into stuff like this, where it's like, hey man, what if this issue happens? Then what's your choices? I mean, there's a light at the end of this tunnel, 1,000,000%. Real estate is the foundation to a lot of wealthy people and rich people. I love real estate. Everyone on this podcast loves real estate, but there's both sides to it, and we want to give both sides to it always. We want to be the most transparent podcast that we can be, right? Mm-hmm. And I think people are owed that, and we don't mind. And we don't mind delivering that.
I think it's time to balance it out. I know everybody says real estate is the go, and it's rich. And I just want to tell you that to get to the rich, you got to make a couple mistakes, and we don't want you guys to make the mistake. We're just gonna talk about it.
Learn by ours or our stories that we're
learn
familiar
what
with.
we paid for real,
or pay 32,000,
or pay 32,000,
or pay 32,000. So and that's there's so many deals out there, sight unseen. It's you can walk into all kinds of things. But
speaking of which, that's a good point. Speaking of which, another way how investors can fail, because you just mentioned sight unseen, and obviously I mentioned earlier team, and then Jerry mentioned earlier the lack of information or the misleads or misreads on the inspections, right? Which all three of those tied together are another huge reason why out of town investors or local investors fail in the market, because they don't have, it's the bad buy. Just a bad overall bad buy. You were sold that this property is, it's $150,000 property. It's got solid bones. The furnace is 15 years old. The hot water tank is 15 years old. The
roof is 10 years old. You should be good.
Roof is 10 years old. You should be great. Fine. Foundation solid. All that good stuff, right? They're not telling you the other, the intricate things. They're not telling you that the fascias and soffits has holes in them, and squirrels are in your attic and they're chewing at your electrical wires, which be causing a fire. And there's trees that are overgrown and they're rubbing on the roof. That it took a 20-year roof and it deteriorated in 5 years. But in pictures you don't see that because it's sight unseen, and they took the right angles.
Right.
They took the pictures at all the right angles. You know what I mean? Right. And then you buy and you're sold 12, 10, 15, 20% returns on your cash investment. And it's not that, it's not that, they're telling you $150,000 house. If it's a single, you're going to get $1,800 a month in rent. You're going to get whatever, $1,600 a month in rent. Truth be told, that ain't it. You're not going to get that. You're probably $1,200 to $1,300. They inflated the rent just to substantiate the price.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But when you have a good team,
right,
you can comb through all that.
Boots on ground. Yeah, boots on ground are super, super. To me, one of the most important things, kind of to give you a flip side of how do you fail, not having the boots on ground, man. Not having them boots on ground. Take advantage of what you have. Man. Where you have the advantage, take advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that you have to invest in the market that you're homegrown in, but take advantage of a market in which you have an advantage in. You got people that family members that you love, or friends or college buddies, people that you used to work with, brother-in-law, sister-in-laws, whatever that looks like in a certain city or a town. And you have an advantage in that town. You have actual boots on the ground that you could trust. Take advantage of that. Not doing that is a huge reason why people fail.
Right.
Agreed.
Especially out of town investors or out of state investors. Yeah. I want to add on to a few of these things. I got a couple in mind, and I'm going to get in depth a little more. And that would be your experience. So we had a bad experience buying our first property, just Jerry and I. We bought a property and we don't know what's going on. It's our first time. You see what I'm saying? It's our first property that we bought.
And they smell it on us.
They must have, because I don't know when we're closing. I'm like, when are we supposed to close on this?
They asked us, "Are you new to this?" Yeah, you knew we were new to this.
The attorney, I'm like, hey, listen, when are we closing? Like, hey, can you send us the money? You need to send us the money here to do this. All right, when's the guy leaving? Okay, well, now his situation fell through, so now he's not going to leave. So can he stay? And he'll pay you guys. I mean, it was a mess. It was a mess. And we're like, I don't understand what's going on here. Why is this taking forever? Why is this guy staying here? It's I thought it was our property now. Can he stay there? Can he not stay there? Do we have to? Who do we speak to about that situation? I mean, it was a mess. It was a mess. And like this.
And the attorney, your attorney didn't advise you properly in that situation?
We had a bad attorney.
I'm gonna drink my tea
mean,
over here.
It was
part of the team, right?
We had a bad attorney, no real guidance.
Everybody smelled the brand new buy that we bought.
Well, they saw the license plates
green.
on your the license plates on your rental, and it didn't say the states you were buying in.
Absolutely.
So here's what we do. So we want to close, and we're ready to close. So we're like, all right, cool. Send over the paperwork. We'll sign the papers. We're out of state, and they go, no, you need a power of attorney.
You got to come over here.
You got to know what they got to do. No, not that you got to either come over there or you need a power of attorney.
Was it just to sign the paperwork?
Just sign the paperwork.
That's it.
But then they got to send it here. Then we got to certify it and sign it ourselves as well, and date everything that they told us to date, and all the forms, and then send it back. So now we can't close on the date that we were supposed to close on because we didn't have any power of attorney paperwork.
Let's say we close on Thursday. They told us we have a power of attorney on Wednesday. And said we're gonna send you the paperwork on Wednesday. Why you guys didn't tell me that? I thought you lived in the market we were in.
I'm like, power of attorney. I mean, and I listen, and I'm gonna put myself out here, and I'm very educated now in real estate, and I wasn't then, and I'm not scared to admit that, to the world, period. So when they're saying power of attorney, I'm like, all right, Google's your best friend. Power of attorney for real estate. I mean, because I understand power of attorney, right. I understand what power of attorney is, right? But I'm like, how does it relate to real estate?
Right.
What's going on here with real estate? And it's and some people may watch this and laugh, like, well, this guy's a dummy, but that's fine because that was my experience.
But most people are going to watch this and be like, what is power of attorney for real estate?
And that may be the other side of it. So let me tell you so that way so when I'm getting back to full circle, like you say, DJ,
I like it.
The experience may go, what, I'm not doing this again. Let me get, I'll keep this for a little bit. I'll make some money off of it. And if it doesn't work, I'll just sell it. We
could have done that because it was a bad experience. We could have done that.
Thinking about that too.
Absolutely. If this is what we got to do every time,
we just do something else.
Yeah, we could go somewhere else with this.
Yeah.
But the team, like DT told us, they weren't working with us. They weren't working with us. One was not telling us what's going on, and it's our bad because we didn't know, and they're not telling us because that's not their job.
Right, exactly. He hit it around the head. It's not for them to run your business, to know what you should know. They don't know what you know and what you don't know. Right. So it's on you to educate yourself so you can build the proper team that has the same mindset and the same goals that you have. So where you can acquire, what you need to acquire to get to your goal. Right. So that's the experience. And,
I will also say, ask questions, man.
Yeah.
If you don't know anything, if it doesn't make sense, don't assume that you know, and don't act like you know. Just ask the question.
If you see my box, go ahead.
They might look at you like, oh, I thought you should have known. I'd rather you do that than they assume that you know and you don't say anything, and you buy a property then you got to spend $32,000 for it.
So what I was saying, if you look at my box, you see me laugh and smirk. And the reason why you see me laughing and smirking is because I lived it. So I'm going back to those experiences and I'm laughing because just Jerry and I would be on the phone, like we get some paperwork or something like that, and be like, hell no, ain't no way. There's no way it should be this. There's no way it should. And we're convinced. So we're convincing each other that we're right 1,000,000%. He starts shaking his head. So we're right 1,000,000%. He's like, you ready to make this phone call? Yeah, give me 5 minutes. Let me do it. Let's make that phone call. And 5 minutes come. You ready? You ready? Ain't no. They better explain it.
I'm Rufus on the phone. I'm Rufus on the phone. And our attorney sat my punk ass down. Like, you do not know what you're talking about. Let me explain to you.
Right.
Bing, 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 bing. And then after that, I called Lance after, like, yo, I got my ass handed to me.
Yeah, we leave each other like, listen, man.
She gave you a little humble pie. She gave you a little humble pie.
Humbles.
But then know what you do? You go, okay, that's who I need on my team.
Absolutely.
That's who I need on my team.
That's a fact.
Yep.
That was the second attorney. That's not the first attorney.
Right. We fired the other one. Right. So
and that's another thing. Don't be scared to fire. They all work for you.
Facts.
Don't be scared. Because if you scared, you will be getting taken around the block a couple times. They will
walk you around the block a couple times.
Absolutely.
And then let you go with a smile after they done walked you around the block.
Because a realtor doesn't care.
Yeah, not at all.
Because all they want is get that 3%.
Yeah.
So what they'll do for you, and they smell that you really don't have the money to do more than one, all they want is that one sale anyway.
Right.
And they keep it going.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. After they fill you out and they know that's not saying every realtor, right?
No,
but
absolutely.
That's part of building your team.
Absolutely.
You got to find out what realtor is there for your best interest and what realtor is there for their best interest.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So this is the irony. I mean, we've been through it. I laugh a lot when you start talking because we've been through it. You know, we think we know, and even when we think we know something, you know, we've built such a good team. Is when we jump on that phone, when we hang up, we're like, oh shit. Well, that didn't go like we thought. Yeah, you know, but it's okay.
You had my back, man.
I thought we were right. I mean, it seemed right, didn't it? You know, and Will, we're still trying to lick the wounds. I mean, it seemed right, didn't it? No, didn't it make sense?
Oh, we had all the logic when we made that phone call.
Right,
we had all the logic when we made that phone call.
It's like SpongeBob.
I had notes on paper, and my notes were right.
Absolutely.
Those shits was wrong.
She canceled that one out. She said no to this. I don't even know how she said no to this. Absolutely.
At the end, you just take the paper. You're like,
yep. That's it.
Yeah,
rip it all up.
So the experience, man, your first experience can really turn you off. You know, it's no different from being on a date with someone or meeting someone in your first experience with them.
And to piggyback off that too, it might not just be your first experience. It might be your fourth. You know, you might have 2 or 3 good ones in the beginning, and then your fourth one becomes a nightmare. You know, because somebody on your team somehow, some way shows their true colors. You know, for lack of a better word, shits the bed. You know what I mean? You never know, right? It could happen, right? So part of building your team is not just, you know, building it for one game. You're not building a team for just one game. You're not playing a 4-quarter game. You're not playing a 2-period game. You're playing a life game. So you want to build a team that would help you and be around for you, if not for a lifetime, at least for a career, right? For however long you see yourself in this field.
It's a marathon. It's
100%. That's an amazing way to put it. It's definitely not a race. It's a marathon.
I just want to add to that too. But our realtor didn't. We had to sit down our realtor and say, listen, this is not a game.
This is what we want.
We're going to do this multiple times. I need you to focus on what we need to be doing so we can move forward together.
Right. And this is how we want it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And once he started formatting how we wanted it, the information, okay, he's on the same page. Because our idea, just Jerry and I, was to go, when we make a phone call and they hear our voices, they already know. They already know. When we call a realtor and go, hey, listen, we're looking at this property. Can you go check it out for us? He knows.
And that's respectfully, though. Respectfully, because that's
right.
That's everywhere. That's everywhere. When we call our PM, he knows. Once we say this is what it is, he's like, all right, these guys gonna pay for it.
Yep.
He knows that it just, our word is where we stand on. And just same thing as this podcast. This podcast is our word and we stand on it. Right. So when we pick up that call and go, hey, this is what we want, they know we're not really playing. And don't joke with this, because this could change your life. It could better your life or it could worsen your life.
Right.
In many ways. Right.
So when you were saying about it may happen on the 4th time, but that person probably has already seen, what real estate can do for you. So they have a little more grit to keep going. Right?
Well, obviously it's all subjective, right? It's all subjective information. We can create situations where, your first, second, third deal are kind of smaller deals, or maybe even situations that were kind of handed to you, right? You just kind of fell in your lap. And then the fourth deal is something that you really had to put in work for. You really had to go find your own team for. I've had people who they start real estate and I kind of guide them through their first 3 deals. Like they didn't really have to do anything but listen to me. You dig what I'm saying? So
you held their hand.
I held their hand through the whole thing. Like they didn't have to find the deal. They didn't have to find the financing guy. They didn't have to, all they had to do was provide paperwork and sign paperwork and then just kind of go along with it. So that just so happened to go that way. Right. And then now you got 3 deals. It just so happened to happen. And it went smooth because
absolutely,
the connections that we have, made it go that way. Right now on their 4th deal, they get brave, right? It's like a teenager. I no longer need to confide or ask mommy and daddy, how do I do this? How do I do that? I want to go out on my own, and I want to be, my own person and my independent, investor, entrepreneur mentality. So then they start reaching out, which rightfully so, right? You should reach out, you should network and possibly find deals and deal with other people. I'm not saying you have to have your end all say all has to be here, but so they'll reach out and they'll have interest in the deal. They'll do that 4th deal, which essentially is really their first solo deal. You follow me?
Correct.
Yeah, well, that's great when you break it down like that.
Yeah. And now that experience is just not the same, right?
I have an example of that for you as well.
Go ahead.
But so we bought a property. So we bought a couple properties, and our system is a system check. Realtor check. Somebody checks the realtor. Somebody checks the PM manager.
Layers.
Somebody is layers. Correct. So we we bought a property for we was going to enter the game of BRRRR method. The BRRRR method is buy, rehab, rent, refi, and then repeat. Right. So we was jumping into that. We bought a property for a good number. They gave us a rehab number. Decent. I'll give you the numbers to be transparent. We bought the property for $20,000. The rehab was going to cost us $15,000, and we could refi for $60,000. So we're going to be all in $35,000 and get and cash out at $60,000. So the contractor did $15,000. After the $15,000, we said, "Hey, listen, we already knew. Lance and I spoke, and we go, look, he's going to ask for another $5,000. So let's put another $5,000 aside, so that we would have been all in $40,000, right? And that's still a number. We still get the money back, and we still keep on. We have a property. We rent that out. We keep moving, so it benefits 100%.
Absolutely,
right? So we asked our PM to check on our contractor, and the PM told me, "I don't know what you're doing, but he didn't do anything." So I just gave him $20,000, and
we're all laughing because we're trying to give this to the world, but we all know.
This is what happened. So we were supposed to make this property look fabulous, and the PM manager said, "Yo, this looks like all types of drugs come out of this house. This is not the one." So we asked him to take pictures, and the things that we told him to fix, it was.
Is that the one that had the dresser drawer as the stair top?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
This is what we mean about building a team.
Oh
I mean,
absolutely. But to go to your point, not to go into deep as well again, if you do not have the right team, because right there, I could have told Lance, "I'm done, fam. This is not what we're doing no more.
Crazy.
I'm over with this." But it comes with the territory if you're going to do it the way we did it.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's the game plan. The game plan is you don't got to do it the way we did it. We're going to teach you, or we're going to walk you through some of that.
Yeah. That's the beauty of real estate. That's the beauty of real estate.
Absolutely.
Beauty of real estate. There's, you could do real estate in hundreds of ways. There's no one way to do real estate, right? There's hundreds of ways to do it.
100%.
But it turned into BRRRR my ass. So just to put that out there, it was BRRRR nothing.
Yeah.
There was no BRRRR after that.
Absolutely.
But, and when
the BRRRR method became.
Yes.
Put my respect in my name. That's what he did.
Respect on my name. But yeah,
we
and
fired the contractor though. Just want to add that in there.
Of course, yeah, everyone's been fired with us. Everybody's been fired.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
Going back to your team, right? So how does an investor fail? In real estate, right? So one of my most important things not me, us. My most important thing is team, and you just reiterated that from when you started, you fired your entire team that you started with.
Yeah.
Right. So to kind of piggyback on that, just because you don't start with the right team, don't mean you won't get the right team and be able to finish and succeed with the right team.
1,000%.
But the way you fail is by getting the wrong team and maintaining and allowing yourself to slowly watch yourself kind of die in real estate, with that team that's just draining and exhausting and just putting you all in the wrong places, giving you all the wrong advice and not putting in their fair share of work. At the end of the day, you all got to put in work. Your team has to work for you just as hard as you work for yourself, to a certain extent. But you need somebody who's going to be honest. You need somebody who's going to be trustworthy. You need somebody who knows the market, and you need attorneys who are going to be for you. They're not going to drag their feet. You need realtors who are willing to do things that most realtors are not willing to do. I know Lance shared a story a while back about a realtor. You want to touch on that? Because I think that's an important point.
About which one?
The realtor how you decided to pick your realtor.
How I decided to pick my realtor.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. So what I did was I was building a team from my computer, really. And you start doing research on these guys, and you're like, man, this one was the top realtor of the year, sold X amount of properties, or you see a high-end realtor that you see that sold, X amount of in dollars, for the year. He sold $1 million worth of real estate,
which is not really a lot.
Right. But in our market, it would be, in what we do. So I knew that, that's not the direction I wanted to go. I wanted to go with someone that would get into the mud with us, not someone that didn't have time for us because they got too many clients, or, not willing to really give the details that we need because we're not there. So I need the details that we need are, it's extreme, almost some people would say, because it's from foundation to the roof, and everything in between. So we need that in order to make, proper decisions. And what I did was I found, and no offense, maybe someone, I don't want to call them mid-tier or anything like that, but someone that's maybe not as busy as some of the other realtors, that deal with maybe high-end clients.
Somebody's up and coming.
Right.
An up and coming.
Right.
An up and coming. Yeah.
And once I made contact and we explained our vision, and they were on board, and we went out there and they did what they did, and then we made our proper adjustments. Before you know it, it fit like a glove, and that's kind of how I found it. I didn't go for the best of sometimes having the best isn't always the best. Right.
And and that's how you went into it.
And that's how I went into
it. Now as time goes on and you're elevating your portfolio, you're migrating into the higher ranked areas to more affluent areas, more expensive properties, because you now can, and you want to dip and dive into those markets. Going to the best may be the only way to get those deals, because they kind of monopolize that market.
Right.
You grow into that though.
You grow to that. Exactly. 100%.
I'm talking about 100%. Ground level and how you came in. And this is someone that, we would still use to this day,
he's part of the team regardless. He's part of the team regardless.
Yeah. Everybody plays their part. Right. And I don't think,
just because you have one realtor doesn't, three realtors doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong.
I would never marry myself to a realtor.
Absolutely.
One realtor, never. And whatever market that I'm diving into, I would never marry myself to one realtor.
Another gem. That's a gem. Because you go in there, if you're a new investor, you might go in and go, I got my realtor, and that's that. We have 3-4 realtors sending this stuff all the time. And
some people think that like it's a loyalty thing.
And that's in the same market. Guys.
Yeah, they get into the market and they say, hey, I reached out to them and I got my first deal through them, and I did great with them. So I'm just going to be loyal to them. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to ride, this horse till the wheels fall off, if you will. But I mean, not to say that that's not smart, but, if you have one realtor who only has 200 people that they know, who's ever sold 40, 50 properties, or maybe 100 properties in their entire career. One of those, right? Let's say if you meet 4 or 5 of those, changes your world, changes your life, your exposure. The first deal you got from that guy, you might get 3 deals like that from the next guy.
And maybe off market.
Right. And I'm not
know who they know.
Hey, talk that talk.
I know I'm jumping. I know.
No. That's good. That's good.
So,
but yeah, you don't never want to, not saying that you kind of just jump ship and you're not loyal to your realtors, because you got to respect them, and you should be upfront with them and clear. Hey, listen, I'm reached out to you. I'm looking for this type of deals. These are properties I'm trying to buy. You bring them to my attention. As long as it fits my criteria, I'm going to buy it with you. But just so we're clear, I'm working with a couple other people as well to, because networking is what I do. Oh, yep. And they'll understand, because the market is the market. You know what I mean?
Work for you though. The reason why I say that is because he knows that you talk to 2 to 3 realtors. He's trying to be the best one.
Yeah. He wants to be the best one. He or she. And then
correct.
Then when you decide to flip or relist the property because, you got equity in it, or you got a partnership in it, your partner wants out, whatever that looks like, then you one hand wash the other, one hand wash the other, both wash the face. That's when you say to those realtors, hey, I need you to list this property for me. Hey, you list this other property for me. Hey, you throw them a bone, if you will, respectfully. Right, you know what I mean? Absolutely. Respectfully.
Yep, respectfully. So to bring it full circle once again, DT,
talk that talk.
Those are one of the ways where just a first experience, or doing it on your own can really, fold you mentally and just go, listen, this is not for me. This is not as easy as what I was seeing online on social media. A lot of steps to this. And even that, nobody told me about a damn roof, or no one told me about, this, that, and the third that can go wrong. No one said anything about that. They said, have your down payment. They said, you'll be paying this. That's what they told me, and so people have that mindset going in.
What they told you was you buy this property for this much, you get this much as rent, and this is how you live. That's how they tell you.
Yep.
Right. It's very, 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 it was very TikTok-ish before TikTok came out. It's right to the point, and
super vague.
A lot of in between.
It's like driving by a car dealership and you see the sticker in the window, $34,000, or you see $349 a month. It doesn't say in order for you to pay $349 a month, you got to put down $8,000.
Right.
You got to have a 700 credit score.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got to have a this and a that. That's how you're going to get that $349 payment. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And it's not only, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's
not only online, on, you podcast, YouTubes, and it's also in conversation that people feed you dreams. Cause I was fed many dreams in my, learning experience and my growing, right? Hey, cause once I realized that real estate is what I wanted to do, like Lance said, no, I think Jerry said it. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I'm the annoying guy. I'm the guy that will ask you all the questions until you get tired of answering my questions. And then when you get tired, I'll be like, all right, man, I see that you're tired, but I'm gonna come call you in a couple of days because I'm not done yet. You know what I mean?
I'm that guy as well.
Yeah, and that's I mean, part of why we rock. But
right.
So I remember, I clearly remember, I had a next door neighbor of mine who used to do rental properties, and I seen him all the time coming back home, putting paint buckets in his garage and taking the ladders out. And I was young. I was like 14, 15 years old. And I asked him, I was like, man, you got a lot of stuff going on, because I see you all around doing it. He's like, yeah, young blood. Yeah, young blood. This hard work here. He's like, but you got to understand, man, I put $20,000. I buy a house for $20,000. I put $5,000-$6,000 in it. I paid less than $30,000 for a house. I rent it out for $600-$700. I refinance it to a bank, and I make $80,000 a house. I'm like, what?
80,000.
And then I was like, how many houses you got? He was, oh man, I got like 25 houses. I said, so you're a millionaire. And I'm 14 years old, and it just clicked. So you're a millionaire. He was like, nah, yeah, young blood. Right. So his sons were like my best friends and stuff. So I say that because now coming back, I see him at Home Depot now all the time. He's still working, like blue collar, hard. His knuckles white, still working. So what he was doing then, he was lying to me. The numbers that he was telling me, he didn't own them houses. No, he didn't own them houses. He was working.
20, he made 80. Tell me.
Yeah, but he didn't buy them houses. He was working for somebody, and he was there. You know, somebody else was buying the houses, and he was the worker.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't tell because he was doing well. To me, he was doing well, and I was like, "So you're a millionaire?" He was like, "Nah, you're young blood."
Young blood.
so with all that being said, you know, and I keep saying the first experience can really, you know, fold somebody because they don't know the intricacies of it, the ins and outs. To you know, compound on top of that would be people go in, it's their first flip, and they once again, it's not knowing the market. So you can't be in a neighborhood where no one has marble in their kitchen and then put marble in your kitchen and expect a return on that because it's your taste.
But I put marble though.
Unless you got the marble for free.
unless you got the marble for free. Even then, you might want to save it for your next flip, right?
Right. Yep,
so you don't want to
put marble though. That's all I can tell you. I put marble, so make it work.
Yeah, I know. And then and you can find out real quick you're out of business.
You're in an area that the max you're gonna get is $100,000. You put marbles, granites, you know, soft closing drawers, custom cabinetry, and you tell your realtor, "Hey man, I want to get 200,000." He's gonna tell you what?
Yo, take that out.
Now he's gonna be like, he or she's gonna be like, "Can you come here, sir? Let's walk out the front door." They walk out the front door. They walk to the sidewalk. They tell you, "Do me a favor, look left, look right, and then turn around and look at your house. How much you think you're gonna get again?"
200,000. I asked for 200,000.
Nice working with you. Call somebody else.
Because the market's always going to decide, you know, the price of your home, right?
Yes, sir.
Or the price of your investment home that your flip. So when you go in there, you have to be aware. There's a lot of research. I think people, you know, forget about the research that has to go into it. You know, you want to know your market.
That research is called comps, guys.
What's your ARV? You know, get a realtor that you trust that is probably going to place on the market for you. Get some advice there. You have a lot of people go in there. You know, I'll give you an example. I had a friend that unfortunately his grandfather passed, but he got the house. So he was going to flip it. And he goes in there and he put things that he would like in his dream home. But it wasn't a dream home area, and it wasn't a dream home type of house for him to do that. So he lost profits, and he still made money because the house was gifted to him. Basically, he inherited it. So if he had to purchase the property and do what he did as far as high-end finishes and the time that it took to finish on top of that, he would have been upside down. And I think a lot of people get caught up in that, in the emotion.
When you say upside down, what do you mean by that?
Meaning that he will get back less than what he put in. Okay. So now he's stuck to either hold it and rent it out and hope that the market, you know, goes up, you know, and that property appreciates, or he's going to have to take a loss. So those are pretty much your choices. And because he didn't really do research, you know, and it was emotional for him. And I know for a lot of people too, when they first go into the first flip, it's, you know, it's an emotional thing. They start putting in things that they would want to see in their house, you know, and that's how you get caught up. And that's the thing that can cripple you as well. And you go, listen, I'm never doing this again. You know, I was told I was going to make 80,000. I came out, I made 5,000 after all that work. I did 8 months, you know, of waiting for this to flip. I made 5,000, not worth it.
Wow.
Not worth it. So you have those situations as well that people go through, because they don't know the market, or they don't do their research, or they're emotional, which also is a downfall and why investors fail. These are things that you guys probably don't hear on the internet, or stuff that you don't run across.
I never heard no stories like this. How you guys?
I have not.
I have not. Everything is golden in the world.
A lot of the podcasts, and I'm not shooting no shade, but this is the reason. Part of the reason why we all agreed to do this is you hear a lot of vague information, and you hear a lot of "I'm already rich" stories, right? You hear a lot of, you know, I'm already on level 30, so I can't really talk about level 1 through 29,
right?
You know, and that doesn't mean that we're not on level 30. But we never forget about level 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You dig what I'm saying? So I really appreciate this perspective. I really appreciate the information that we share. And I love the fact that there's evolution in what we talk about. There's levels to it, and we keep evolving and evolving and evolving. So
when we sat,
shout out to y'all.
When we sat down and talked about let's do a podcast, I told you I can't do it without being 100% transparent. So
that's what it is.
And that's what it's going to be. It's going to be that.
And we appreciate you guys. Like I said, always subscribe, like, get that algorithm going for us. We want to get in front of a lot of people, as many people as possible. We definitely want to show our love with our stories and our experience with you guys. And we hope you guys just come along for this journey with our podcast, man.
Hit us up on social media, man. We talk back. Talk back.
Absolutely.
Appreciate y'all listening, fellas.
Yeah. What they say? I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection, my presence shines. My mental is parasailing maritime. They say I'm destined to read the palm line. Yeah, I'm so divine. Imperfection, perfection.